In this short lesson, I'm going to talk to you about pedal hat. That little noise I just made with my foot. That's something that is overlooked by a lot of drummers because it's a extra movement that you have to make. It's another limb you have to move, and it might be a little bit too much. It might even sound as though you don't need to do it, and you don't absolutely need to do it, okay? Straight up, you don't need to put pedal hat into your grooves, but if you do, it sounds better. It sounds so much better, it's kind of crazy. It establishes a really small, constant metronome within the music that just helps move it along, especially when you're playing with complex ideas. It can really help aid that groove. I learned basically to play pedal hat by listening to Meshuggah. Their album Nothing, if you haven't heard that, go and check that out. I would listen to that album on my commute to and from work way before Tesseract, and I'd focus on trying to keep my left leg playing eighth notes along to that music, and that really helped me a lot because I was doing that for an hour or two a day, pretty much every day. It was this external practice that I could do when I wasn't behind a kit. When I am behind a kit though, I'm using pedal hat all the time, and if you listen to pretty much any Tesseract groove, you're going to hear it in there. Let's talk about pedal hat technique. My full foot is on the pedal, right? My heel is on the heel plate and the rest of my foot is on the angled section. And when I'm playing eighth notes like this, which I play pretty much all the time, pedal hat was going the whole time there. And that was a fairly simple beat. So how I continually play that without my leg getting tired is I'm playing from my tiptoe. It's a little tricky to see from this angle, but bear with it. In the same way that I play heel toe over here, I'll play heel up most of the time or heel toe. I'm playing pedal hat with my heel raised, okay? And if I demonstrate that on my right foot, if I lift my heel from my tiptoe, it's a very small movement, I can then use that motion to lift my foot, okay? I'm not lifting from my thigh or anything. It's my tiptoe goes up, my calf contracts a little bit, and I use that motion to lift my foot and leg, and it comes down. Gravity does the rest of the work, okay? So there's no tension in my muscle, in my thigh at all. I'm just flicking my foot up, and gravity, the weight of my leg coming down on it, is making the sound. And the exact same thing is going on with my pedal hat. So it's a tiny, tiny, tiny movement to achieve what I need. Even when I'm playing quarter notes, my heel is still playing eighth notes. So let me show you. I'm playing quarter notes, right? You can hear an audible quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. But look at my heel. My heel is playing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's almost doing that. Instead of just doing that and lifting up on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and there's always an eighth note thing going on, an eighth note pulse that is within this leg, giving me that and between the notes. That helps me keep that in time massively, and I've done that automatically for a very long time. If I don't do that and I'm just playing quarter notes, that's more awkward. That's way more awkward. So develop that movement in your leg. Lift up from the toe so that your heel is raised. Use that motion to lift off the pedal slightly. You don't even have to lift completely off the pedal. You learn to control that so that your foot stays on the pedal. But lift up with that motion, come back down, and make it an eighth note so you can feel a movement in your heel even on the notes that you're not playing. Practice that to a metronome, okay? That's the practice. That's how you get that tight. You practice that to a metronome, you make sure that you can lock in. You practice that as a different note length to a metronome, which we can get into in later lessons. But get that down to a metronome first. Make sure you're locked in. Make sure it's comfortable. Make sure the technique feels natural. And then you can start to include that technique within your grooves and your fills. So technique is always where to start, and that's the technique that I recommend sitting with. There's a bunch of free lessons up on my website. There's a bunch that are up on YouTube. Go and check out those because they're going to be super helpful. If you found this lesson fun and useful, please hit that subscribe button to be among the first people to know when a new lesson goes live.